The shoulders the shoulders are this nexus in our body where we often feel like we're holding the weight of of the world on our shoulders, and a lot of the times that we are working, we forget how much burden we're carrying on our shoulders, and it can start to sink us. We can start to get this feeling that our sternum starts to sink in, especially if we're on a computer a lot. So we can have two kind of counter things, not counter things, but two different ways that we can have poor mechanics with our neck, shoulders, and chest, which of course affects our breathing. The first is this sunkenness that can be a slouched posture kind of mentality. And then the other can be, I'm just gonna, prop myself up to the world and force myself outward, thinking that this is safer and better. But really, what we're doing is just kind of squeezing the shoulder blades together on the back, which creates a lot of tension, not just in our neck and shoulders and back, but also in our breath. So, if we can find a way to not be either sunken or compressed forward, but rather just soften and relax and allow our shoulders to carry weight when we need them to and to not carry weight when we don't need them to, this will be a much more effective way for us to move our bodies. And all of this impacts the breath tremendously. The muscles in our neck and shoulders can really help our breath when we need it, but we don't want to rely on these muscles to do the work for us. So we have this imagination sometimes that we can hold our shoulders up from little ropes from our earlobes, that we have this going on, and a lot of tension can happen. So today in our practice, we're going to not only work to open the chest and shoulders up, but we're also going to work with learning how to use the shoulder blades. So if these are your shoulder blades, how to move them down and toward each other, and how to slide them up and move them so that the actions of your shoulders are supported by your spinal muscles and your torso muscles, instead of relying on your neck and upper shoulder muscles to do either an upward motion or a downward motion. We want to rely on deeper, stronger muscles in our thorax to do a lot of that work for us. So go ahead and close your eyes and sit up straight and tall, and take a moment to just assess. Have you been lifting heavy things in the body or in the mind lately? When you are stressed, what happens to your neck and shoulders? Are you a shoulder creeper upper? Are you a high breath? Do you breathe high in the chest when you're stressed? Do you feel as though there's a lot of weight on your shoulders, metaphorically? Are you shouldering a lot of burdens? Let's take a moment to feel into the body now. Feel into the breath. Notice where your breath naturally is going. Are you a top breather? See if you can work your way down, feeling the diaphragm relax, slowing the inhales and the exhales. That long, steady exhale will stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system and help you relax. While you're here breathing, notice if your breath tends to travel up or out in the front. See if you can feel that sense that the center of your body is like a sun, and the breath can radiate in all directions outward and condense back to that center point on the exhales. Do you forget that you have a back body sometimes when you're breathing? Can you feel that if you're breathing radially outward in all directions, that the arm bones actually move when you inhale and exhale? Can you feel a slight change of shape in your collarbones, in your shoulder blades? Not just your ribs, but the extra bones around as well. Can you feel the joints where your ribs meet your sternum and those cartilage areas? Can you feel the joints where your ribs meet your spine, your vertebrae in the back? Soften these joints up so that the freedom of your rib cage is available to you. See if you can relax the neck and shoulders. All the muscles in your neck that tend to lift your shoulders up when you breathe, can you let them soften and relax? This doesn't mean that your upper ribs are not going to move. Of course, your breath is going to come to the top, but try not to originate movement from those muscles. Originate your breath from your diaphragm. Feel your collarbones be like little highways moving from your sternum to your shoulders. And awaken the shoulder blades on the ribs, like two hands ready for any kind of movement. Are you relaxed? Place your hands to your sternum, lift your sternum and your thumbs toward each other. Notice the back body when you lift your sternum. Try not to pinch or squeeze or compress. Offer an intention for your practice. And then release your hands. Let's come onto our back. All right, so as you lie down, as we often do, most often do in our practice, start by just feeling your body supine. Feel into the breath. Notice what the breath feels like here. Okay. And then as you're ready, stretch your arms overhead and feel the deep length. Stretch the right side, stretch the left side, come into that sense that you're open and available. Breathing well. And then bring your knees into your chest and rock a little bit from side to side. Allow your head to rock too. So, a lot of times we just let our pelvis move and we can get real rigid in our upper body. Let everything kind of be floppy, easy. And then let's open the knees and circle them back. So whatever kind of trajectory of movement your hip joints like. And let's appreciate the time for yoga right now. So here you are in your body and your breath on your mat. There's a million things you could be doing, but you're taking the time for this. So let your body thank you. Let your mind thank you for prioritizing self-care. Right knee into the chest, left leg long, roll around your ankles and wake those feet up. And then change left knee and right leg long and roll around your ankles and wake your feet up here. All right, and then starfish yourself open, navel to edges, lengthen and stretch. And remember, any trajectory of movement that bothers your anything, but today focus on the shoulders, you can choose a different pathway. Okay, so always look for the movement pattern that does not hurt and see what you can find. Draw the knees into the chest and rock a little bit. It's okay. Find your breath. Inhale, expand and lengthen out through your limbs. Exhale, knees into your chest. Chin up. Let's do that one more time. Expand your body open. Breathe deeply. And then exhale and go ahead and relax inward, condense. Put your feet flat on the ground. And let's go ahead and take your feet wide to the edges of your mat and rock left and right, just waking the spine up in a unique way. A couple times, moving to each side. And then when you're ready, let's drop the knees over to the right and stretch your left arm out like that starfish that we often do. And feel the extension through your pecs, through your side waist. Find that connection of a lateral extension a little bit here, crossing the body a bit. And then relax, come back to center, drop knees left, stretch right arm out and open that side body up, stretch through your pecs. And just notice, does one side feel more available than the other? We all have habituated patterns in our body. We have histories, we have injuries, we have all sorts of stuff that make us more free, less free in certain areas of the body. Come back to center, bring the knees in one more time and roll your knees. Either you can rock, you can circle, whatever feels good. Put your feet down onto the ground. And before we come out off our back, let's roll our wrists around a little bit here. Deep breaths. And then open your hands, squeeze your fists and open, kind of like flicking. Okay, so flick your hands open and then close, just warming up some of the muscles in your forearms. And then roll your wrists around again. Stretch your arms overhead, lengthen through your sides. And then draw the knees into the chest, roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. Always modify anything. So if you need to be on fists or forearms, that's fine too. Hands are going to come down onto the ground. If you're not happy on your knees, you can do this standing with your hands on a piece of furniture or a wall. Oftentimes when we just lock and lean, right? So if we lock our shoulders, lock our elbows, so go ahead and do that. We tend to lean into the outer wrists. And this does not engage our torso at all. We're just locking into joints. This is a lot of the times the way we tend to act with many joints in our bodies, but right now, particularly our shoulders. Root the index finger mounds into the ground and hug the hands toward each other a little bit. And this effort does not have to be gargantuan. We don't want to overpower with our pecs, which tend to be kind of strong, but we want to have the ability to stay grounded through the index finger and move the hands toward each other so that you feel the muscles in your torso kick into gear. This is I like to think of it as the core support for the shoulders, just like we think of the core support for our back. So relax it again, lock out your joints, roll into the outer wrists, notice what your torso feels like, what your breath feels like, and then root the index finger mounds down, hug the hands toward each other. All this fairly gentle. We don't want to have overpowering, but we activate the serratus, we activate the lats. There's a lot of muscles in our torso that start to kick in, and even our core kicks in a little bit when we have this level of activity. From this stable place, don't overdo where you get fatigued in your triceps. Just feel a sense of grounding and start to move your body into some cat-cows. Make sure you're breathing. So rounding the spine as you exhale, arching the back as you inhale. See how that feels. If you like to do a different breath pattern, that's completely fine. Just see what your body naturally moves through. Notice if there's any places where you tend to lock the wrists or lock the elbows or lock the shoulders. See if you can feel that sense of yielding where the joints have space and freedom, adaptability. They could go in any which way. All right, then move your swirling spine around. So maybe you switch from side to side. Maybe you circle the hips to see what feels good in your body. And then settle back towards child's pose. Deep compression in the hip joints, maybe a little anterior tilt to the pelvis on the way down, and walk the hands forward. Now your shoulders may not like to be overhead like this, and that's okay. Be where you want to be. So you can always bend your elbows to soften this pose up. You can always straighten your elbows, but take your hands wider. You can turn your thumbs or your palms up toward the sky. There's lots of different ways to create a little more stability in the shoulder that might be bothering you. Relax your head toward the floor. If your palms are down, inch those fingers Let them ground into the earth, a little suck of the palm up away from the ground, and feel that extension through your sides. Walk the hands over to the left and feel the awakening from the rim of your side, your rib cage. Let it extend out to your hands. Let it extend out to your hip. Feel that fullness of stretch. Relax the base of the skull and breathe deeply. Soften the low back, let it open. Let your breath come deep. Over to the other side you go. Inch those hands. Remember, you can find this pose without having to strain your shoulder joints. So experiment and find a way to open the side rib without overdoing a shoulder. Feel the ribs reach to the hands. Feel the ribs reach to the hip. Find your breath. Try not to let your neck take the tension of any postures. Walk the hands back to center. Onto all fours. Have a cat-cow. All right, inhale, reaching the left arm up in the air. Exhale, shoulder slides through. Feel the shoulder blades now broaden apart from each other on the back of the body. Gaze down toward the ground. Let the neck soften. So we're not hoisting our shoulders up to our ears. We're just releasing. Come out of the pose slightly so your torso faces the floor. Hips can come back toward the heels a little bit more and stretch the back side of your shoulder capsule. Okay. Feel your breath. Collarbones widen. Race cars out from the sternum to the shoulder tips. Driving on that highway of your collarbones. Inhale, arm up. Exhale, hand down. Root the index finger out. Reach that arm up to the sky. Right arm coming through. Gaze toward the floor. Let your neck stay soft and relaxed. Protract the shoulder blades. That just means they move apart from each other. Soften everywhere. Okay, slide the arm back a little bit. Face the floor with your torso. Collarbones broad. Drop the hips toward the heels and stretch the back side of your shoulder joint. Breathing well. Relax your neck. Take the trajectory of movement that works for you. And then inhale, reach that arm all the way up to the sky. Place the hand down onto the ground. A good rule of thumb is to turn your hands toward each other, touch your middle fingers, and then spin your palms straight. This is just a rule of thumb. Everybody's different. Everybody's shoulders like different positions, so try this. And then experiment. Maybe your hands need to be wider for dog pose, narrower for dog pose. Maybe your hands need to turn out a little bit, turn in a little bit. But let that be your starting point as you lift up into dog pose. And then discover, experiment. Let your body be a lab that you practice in, that you play in, that you experiment in, that you're aware of, so you can know just exactly what's right in any given moment for your alignment. Okay? Root into the index finger mounts. Gently hug the hands toward each other so we're not overdoing the work of our serratus. That's that muscle that's right on, it attaches from the inside edge of your shoulder blade underneath on the anterior aspect of your shoulder blade and crosses over and attaches onto your outer ribs. So feel that space in your body. Feel your lats kick in. Can you feel that this is supportive for the shoulders? And now let's let go of this. Lean into your outer wrists. Lock the elbows and shoulders. Let go of the hands moving toward each other. And notice the compression on the shoulder joints themselves, the weight that comes down into the body when we are not self-supporting from the yielding of the floor or the strength of our torso. Yield down again, index finger mounts, find the earth, hands hug toward each other. Feel the lighting up of your torso and reach your heart toward your hips. Let the shoulder blades, you do not have to lock the shoulder blades down on the rib cage. Let them slide and glide. Let the ribs move up toward the hips. Feel that sense of hugging toward the midline with your hands. Relax your neck. Feel free to pedal out your feet. Breathing well. All right, and then walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Shake out your rib cage, your neck, your shoulders. Let things soften. Breathe well. And then when you're ready, come to a halfway lift. Hands can be on blocks or the legs. Lengthen your spine and the backs of your legs. Sit bones wide and feel the bottom of your feet broaden. And then exhale and melt back down. Soften your knees. Relax the base of your skull. Feel free to shake. You can shake your shoulders, your neck. Let things be floppy and loose. Inhale, halfway lift again. The spine grows. Feel the extension. And bend your knees and climb all the way up. So as you come to Tadasana, shake out your wrists for a moment, okay? And then lift your arms up, and we're gonna come into a cactus pose. So now our shoulder blades are moving down the back a little bit. Imagine your shoulder blades having a tip on the bottom edge, which they do. Move those tips toward the lumbar spine. So create like a V between your shoulder blade bottom tips and your lumbar spine. Feel the breath open across your chest. This is often a tight place for many of us. The subscapularis muscle needs to open up, so reach your hands back. And then exhale, let's protract the shoulder blades so they spread apart. Tuck your chin toward your chest. Inhale, retract your shoulder blades, cactus the arms, bring the shoulder blades toward each other and down. One more time, protracting the shoulder blades, spread them apart. Inhale, arms up, reach and extend through your sides. So if you try to pull your shoulder blades down in this position, it can be, a lot for your shoulders to handle. So let your shoulder blades glide up. See if you can maintain the glide and then drop the middle of your spine, the race car down your back, drop it down to the lumbar spine. So let the outsides of your shoulder blades lift as the inner line of your spine descends. Reach your arms up and back, and then exhale and relax. Feel the softness in your shoulders. Wag your tail. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Step the left foot back, right foot stays forward, finding lunge on this side. Extend open through your heart. Your hands can be on floors or blocks. Let's start to move like we often do. Straighten the front leg a bit. Tuck the chin toward the chest. Let the whole back line of the body open. And then bend the knee again and let the chest expand forward. Be light on the blocks. Support yourself as you move back and forth through the length of the back body and the length of the front body. And then when you come into a lunge, be so very light on your hands, featherweight on your hands. Move the shoulder blades down the back now and see what it feels like to stabilize through your core. Hold your shoulders with your core instead of with your neck. So put weight on the blocks for a minute and let your shoulders creep up toward your ears, and notice that this might feel pretty ordinary for you. This might feel pretty common. So light on the blocks, shoulder blades down, transfer the weight of the work into your legs, into your core, instead of into your little neck muscles. Rise up, crescent lunge. Let's all take platter arms to begin. So palms are in front of you, face up, put a little bit of weight, something heavy into your hands, and then let that weight drop your shoulder blades down. See if you can open up to the sides with your platters, feel the backside of your rotator cuffs, strengthen here, and integrate the core. Find what's here for you. Let's go back and forth, palms in front of you, palms moving out to the sides. Be light in the sense that your hands are soft, even though there's weight in your palms. Don't let your fingers hold the weight. Let your shoulders be weighted by the weight in your hands so that you can feel those shoulder blades. Tips drop down. And then bring your arms in front of you. Reach the arms up. Feel the change of shape of your shoulder blades. Extend and lengthen. Try not to pop the ribs out. Breathe well. And then place the hands down. Walk your back foot forward. Fold in half. Melt the neck and shoulders. Maybe even grab onto the elbows if that's a happy place for you to be. Make sure your knees are bent. And then inhale for a halfway lift again, extending the spine. Let's go ahead and melt. Fold down again. Step the left foot back. Or sorry, left foot forward, right foot back. Come into a lunge. Feather weight on the blocks. You can practice heavy weight for a moment. So just lean onto the blocks. Lean your shoulders up toward your ears. Notice how habituated this might feel. And then lightness. Lightness on the blocks, weight in the legs. Shoulders are away from the ears. Extend through the spine. And let's start to move and bend and straighten that front knee. So as you straighten the front leg, square hips, tuck your chin. So the muscles that we're going to utilize a lot today along the spine, get a stretch. Bending the knee and straightening the knee. When you bend the knee, see if you can stay into that place of open heart, collarbones broad. All right, find your way back into a lunge. Move the shoulders away from the ears. See if you can feel those shoulder blade tips. Find the low back, create that V. Extend the spine, root your legs. So ground in and feel the strength come from the lower body. And then rise up and come to your lunge. Hands are in front of you. A little bit of weight in the palms, but relax the fingers. So a lot of times when we stress our hands, we stress our shoulders. So let the hands be a little bit more passive. And let's open up, plattering the arms out to the sides and back in. Again, notice if you're holding your breath. See what it feels like to maintain breathing practices. Feel the backside of the shoulder blades engage. These are little muscles that are, very stabilizing for the head of the arm bone and the shoulder joint. If you're unfamiliar with your rotator cuff, this action that you feel when your palms are out to the sides and you're working to create that action from the shoulder blades, that's the backside of your rotator cuff right there. It's your infraspinatus working hard, your teres minor working hard. That's those muscles. And then relax. Let's swing the arms in front and reach the arms up high, extend, reach, let the shoulder blades loosen their grip and lengthen upward and feel the muscles along your spine drop down. And then release the hands, dog pose. Maybe you want to practice where your hands should be. See what feels good, experiment. Turn your hands out, turn your hands straight. Take your hands wider, narrower. Find where you're most impressively self-supporting. Okay. Yield. Give your weight to the earth and rebound through the extension. So if we lock our shoulder blades onto our rib cage here, we don't have a lot of mobility. So let the shoulder blades slide on the ribs, extend, and instead of locking the shoulder blades down, see if you can hug the hands toward each other and the index finger mounds down to have the support of your shoulder blades come from deeper places. Breathe. All right, let's come forward into a plank. See where you want your hands to be in a plank. Maybe you want your knees down onto the ground. Maybe you want your hands wider. Do you lose your ability to keep your index finger mounds grounded here? When you root them, what happens in your torso? Feel your armpits, your chest, let go of the finger mounds, and notice what shifts. What turns on when you press your index finger mounds down? Hug your hands toward each other. Stabilize through your core. The fingertip mounds are connected to your core. Can you feel that? It's like a little button to press the core on. Okay, let's put our knees down and find our way to the ground. Roll your shoulders a few times. Just enjoy. When we come up into Cobra Pose, before you come up, can you visualize those shoulder blades tips dropping down and toward the low back? And then lift up from here, engage your core to support so we are not squeezing our shoulder blades together. Relax and come back down, but instead dropping the shoulder blades down toward the low spine. So feel the difference. Take your hands off the floor and squeeze your shoulder blades together on the back, okay? Notice the tension in your neck. Notice if your core is able to engage. And then relax those muscles. Place your hands down. Instead, let's integrate shoulder blade tips toward the spine. So it's going to engage the lower traps a little bit more than the mid traps, which is a muscle group that we tend to lose sight of sometimes. And then find your hands lifting off the floor here. Is your neck more relaxed? Your upper traps do not have to do all the work now. And then exhale and melt to come back down. Okay, find your way up to cobra pose. Find your shoulder blades, let your neck soften and loosen. Exhale and melt to come back down. Come up on tall fours. Swish your spine around, sway, move, circle, anything that feels good. Remember, we're trying to feel good in our bodies. How are you today? Okay, stretch your hips back, child's pose. And then find your way up to dog pose. If you want to do the finger thing, if that feels like a good placement. When I started doing that, I realized that my hands, I used to put my hands a lot wider in shoulder pose, in dog pose. And sometimes a more narrow stance helps me integrate different muscle groups. It's not to say it's right or wrong. It just is what it is. So feel what it does for you. Extend the spine. Reach the heart toward the hips. And let this front space of sternum to pelvis help the shoulder blades have some glideability. Let's try not to lock ourselves in place. Let the breath be 360 cylinder again. Radiate the breath. Relax the neck. Okay, let's bring our right foot up in the air. Maybe you want to stack it open, maybe you don't. And then square the hips, place that foot forward to come to a lunge. Rise up and we're going to turn and open up to the side. Virabhadrasana to legs. Now when we come into this pose, remember your stance can be higher, your stance can be lower, whatever feels right to your body, for your knees, your hips, everything. Put your hands, a little weight in your hands again, and open up your platters. So a lot of times, we're activating our core, but see if these muscles in the back of your shoulder blades can teach you something about the back of your core. Are you grounding through your legs? Relax your neck. You do not have to hold your shoulders up by your neck. And then stretch your arms out, palms staying up toward the sky. Lengthen from your sternum to your fingers. Still, we're not lifting our shoulders toward our ears. The shoulder blade tips travel down. Turn the palms of your hands only. Let the shoulders stay externally rotated. Palms come down. Stretch from sternum to fingertips. Lengthen through your spine. Gaze out over your hand if you want. Relax. As you stay in this pose, it's very easy for your shoulders to just creep up toward your ears. Stay with them low. Drop the weight into your legs. Feel the pelvis. Reverse your warrior. Just feel the extension through your side. And then straighten your leg for a moment. Give your thigh a little rest so that you can come fully into Parsvakonasana. Once your elbow, and you can have your hand on your knee. You do not have to have your elbow on your knee. Move both shoulder blades down away from the ears. Can you find the shoulder blade tips here? Open across your chest. And when you're ready, this arm that's going to come up in the air, instead of swinging it over your head, let's swing it in front of your face and stretch your arm overhead. Turn the palm toward the wall behind you, pinky side of your finger down. This will externally rotate the arm bone and then extend through the side. Try not to lose sight that we're grounding our heel to our finger, so we're finding the full length of our side body. The underbelly shoulder likes to creep up toward the ear. Slide it down. Okay, and then come back up. Wide legs for a moment. Find your breath. Bring your arms straight out to the side, palms facing up. Drop the shoulders down. Find your breath. Just turn your palms over. Okay, I promise we won't forget about the flatter arms, but come into Virabhadrasana with your arms like so. A lot of times we feel like our breath has to pull our shoulders up, that we have to support the pose with our neck, support the pose with your yielding. Get your energy to go down into the earth. Feel that downward energy and then travel up through your spine without it having to be your shoulders that creep toward your ears. Allow your lungs to be grounding, that your shoulders can rest on your lungs. And then platter your arms, elbows. You can start with your hands in front of you and then open them out so you feel the shoulder blades broaden across the collarbones. Find your breath. Ground your feet. And then reverse your warrior pose. Open the side of your body. Straighten your leg for a moment. Take a breath. And then the elbow comes down on your knee. Try not to creep the shoulders up toward the ears. Know where your patterns are. It's very easy to just slide your shoulder and literally connect it to your ear. See if you can slide it down. It might help to stretch the right arm away from your skull for a moment. And then when you're ready, arm comes in front of you, slip it over your head. And if this isn't working for your shoulder, different choices are available always. Okay. Palm faces toward the wall behind you, pinky down. This will externally rotate the arm bone. Extend shoulder blades away from the ears. All right, and then come back up. Turn your feet, come back to the front of your mat. Come to dog pose, long spine. Hug hands toward each other, root index finger mounds down. Relax your neck and breathe. Let's come forward with your feet. Okay, Uttanasana. Rise all the way up. Grab onto the right wrist with the left hand. Extend over to the side. So as we find the side body, notice if even here, if your shoulder and your ear want to connect, can you find the length and the movement of your shoulder blade without crunching your neck? Root your ribs down to the floor, to your heel. Lift your ribs up toward the hand. Okay, come back to center, grab on the other way. It's so easy to yank at the shoulder here. Feel the stretch originate in the bottom rib cage, up to the hand, bottom rib cage, down to the foot. Is your neck easy and relaxed? Okay, come back up. Cactus the arms, lots of space in your shoulder blades. And then release and relax your arms. Take your feet wide and spin in some twists. Okay. So, we're gonna do some work to open our shoulders momentarily, almost, but just feel into where the rib cage and the spine meet here. Can you just loosen up those joint spaces so that our shoulder mobility and our neck can very much be a part of what's happening in our thoracic spine. Okay, relax. Take a deep breath. Come to the front of your mat again. Open your arms up. Exhale and float down. Bend your knees. Inhale for a halfway lift. Blocks can support featherweight under your hands. Exhale and melt again. Relax your head. Step back to a plank. Before you do, what foot do you want to take back? You probably have a habit. Take the other foot back. And then find the plank. Index finger mounds, hands hug, shoulders are away from the ears. Integrate the full 360 over your core. So of course your transverse abdominis, you feel that your lats and your serratus and your chest muscles are part of that core as well. The whole torso is integrated. All right, let's put our knees down onto the ground and lower yourself to the floor. Palms are going to come back behind you, or down next to you rather, palms facing the floor. First, lift the heads of the arm bones away. And notice if your shoulder blades just want to squeeze toward each other. See if you can activate the lower traps and bring those bottom tips toward the lumbar spine. Inhale, lift up. Shoulders are away from the ears. Lots of room in your neck. Breathing here. Exhale, and melts back down. Now you get to choose for this back bend whether you want your arms straight up, out to the sides, cactus arms down at your side, interlace your hands, whatever feels good. And we're going to lift everything up, arms and legs. Breathing, feel the shoulder blade tips toward the lumbar spine. Support with your core. The neck is free. Exhale and melt back down. Turn your head one way or the other. Pick up your feet and windshield wiper your knees. Come back up onto all fours. Swish, swish your spine. Okay. We're going to do some shoulder stretching now. So the first one we're going to do can be against a wall or on a piece of furniture. We're going to take our body back. So for me, I have a tall table here. So I'm going to put my elbows on the table. I'm going to keep my ears in line with my shoulder, with my arms. And I'm going to drop my thumbs to my spine. So obviously this will be a tricep stretch, but it also will stretch the capsule of your shoulder itself. So notice what's available. Can you not drop? Can you not fall? If you're very flexible in your shoulders, it's easy to overstrain the shoulder capsule. So lift a little bit under your armpits and stretch your spine long instead of down toward the ground. You can bend your knees. If your elbows are against a wall, you can keep your forearms on the wall instead of thumbs toward your spine. Don't overdo. And then take a step forward and come out of the pose. We often do this in the air, but we're going to start a shoulder clock with our hand on the wall. So press your palm into the wall. We're going to have our wrist in line. Let's do your right shoulder first. So right hand into the wall. And we're going to have our wrist in line with our shoulder. Turn the eye of your elbow toward the sky and root the index finger mound again. Okay, so really your whole palm, you don't have to press so hard into the wall, but ground into the wall. Open your collarbones up. Find your breath, and let's start to lift your ear up, and then drop your ear toward your shoulder. Lift your ear away, and drop your ear, shoulder. There's so many different ways to go about nerve glides in your neck and shoulders and arm. This is just one variation. Shoulder blades down, eye the elbow up, think Tadasana, collarbones broad. And then relax that. And let's just do the second side before we do the shoulder clock. So left wrist into in line with the shoulder, spread the palm, eye of the elbow turning up toward the sky. Our body is in Tadasana, the collarbones broaden. Notice if one arm has a little more zing than the other. And once you're ready, you can lift your ear up toward the sky and back down toward your shoulder. And you're just moving your head to find that sense of awakening in the nerve that innervates your arm. So that you have three main nerves in your arm. And there's lots of different types of nerve guides that you can do, but I'm sure you're feeling a nerve sensation in your arm. Okay, and then release that, shake out your wrists. Okay, now we're going to do the wall clock. Most of you have done this with me before, but we're going to start with our right arm. We're going to go clockwise when we're doing our right arm and counterclockwise when we do our left arm. So that we're going to start with the right hand at 1 o'clock. Our right side is facing the wall, so our torso is not facing the wall. This will stretch the pec minor. You have two different pectoralis muscles in your chest, pec minor and pec major. This will stretch the pec minor. Be really careful, especially if you're very mobile in your shoulder joints, if you're hypermobile, that you're not pushing the joint capsule forward. So you don't want the armpit to like push toward the wall. Think extension from your sternum to your fingers instead. And then take your hands to 3 o'clock. We're still with our right side facing the wall, our torso, our whole spine is in Tadasana. Lift your crown. Drop the shoulder, breathe into the palm. Once again, we're not overdoing a stretch. You don't want to ever lean into the elbow or lean into the shoulder, but instead you want to find that sense of extension. How is your breath? And let's walk down to 5 o'clock. Every position, your pectoralis major muscles run in the fibers run in 3 different positions, up, out, and down. So having the 1, 3, and 5 o'clock will stretch all the fibers of your pecs. And then now we're going to swoop around. So our torso is going to face the wall instead of being our right side to the wall. And we're going to cross our right arm in front of us. Palm is now facing out. So depending on your flexibility, you might be close to the wall or further away from the wall. But think Tadasana, grounding your feet, yielding, knees soft, lifting the crown, the breath is coming. I like to stabilize with my other hand. I hold either my wrist or the outside of the top of my elbow to kind of help me stabilize my arm. So that's something you could do too if you want. All right, and then let's move up from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Shoulders down, collarbones broad. How is your breath? Think Tadasana. Feel your feet. Feel your breathing, your diaphragms. And then we're going to bring the arm up to 11 o'clock. If you spend a lot of time on a computer or in any position where you're, kind of stuck, slouched, or stuck in one position for any length of time, these shoulder clocks are a great way to make sure that you're getting full range of motion, full breath. Okay, let's come out of that pose. And now we're going to do the left side. So our left side is facing the wall. We're standing in Tadasana. Depending on your flexibility, you'll need to be further away from the wall or closer to the wall. Bring your hand, we're going counterclockwise. We're going to start at 11 o'clock. Don't push your armpit forward. See if instead you can slightly pull your armpit back and get the sense that you're stretching from your sternum, your ribs, to your hands. So lengthen instead of push. Breathing deeply. Soft neck and shoulders. Tadasana. So stretch your pec minor. And then let's come down counterclockwise, so down to 9 o'clock. Yep, 9 o'clock. Shoulders down, bobble your head. Make sure your neck is not taking tension. Are you rolling the head of your arm bone forward and internally rotating? Externally rotate that arm. See if you can stabilize the shoulder blade and focus on stretching instead of the muscles instead of the joint capsule. How's your breath? Okay, let's come down to 7 o'clock. Lift the crown. For a lot of people, the epicenter is at 9 o'clock, but this still is stretching some different fibers of the pecs. So it's important to not forget about the 7 o'clock time or position. Okay, and then relax. Face the wall. The arm is going to cross in front of us. Palm is facing out. Support yourself with your right arm. You can support around your elbow or your wrist. Collarbones broaden. Crown lifts. Think Tadasana. Just stretching the outside of the shoulder capsule. The shoulder is actually 2 different joints. I'm sure you know this, but you have your glenohumeral joint, which is where arm bone, the humerus, connects to the shoulder blade. And then you have your AC joint where your collarbone attaches or connects to your shoulder blade. Okay, 3 o'clock. Drop the collarbone, drop the shoulders, spread the collarbones. Are you breathing? And then the last position is 1 o'clock on the clock. You can support with your other hand. Drop the shoulder, collarbones broaden. Feel the backside of your shoulders stretch open. Are you breathing? Okay, and then come away from the wall and just shake out your shoulders. Maybe some gentle circles or movements, whatever's going to loosen things up. And then stand in Tadasana. The palms turn out. Do you have a sense that your shoulder blades, your spine, your sternum, your ribs, that they're finding their place? That we've kind of counteracted some of the slump, counteracted some of the squeeze of the back body. Can you be free? What would it feel like? And you don't have to turn your palms out, just let your arms relax. What would it feel like if this was your state where your natural tendency would be expansive, not collapsed, not forced into a puffing of your feathers like a bird that wants to, display itself, but rather we're just easy in our openness. Can you feel the adaptability that your arms, your torso is ready for just about anything? Is your breath moving well? Okay, let's come down onto the ground. Okay. Go ahead and bring your knees to your chest. Rock a little bit, sway from side to side. Put your feet down. Cactus, open your arms one more time. So let the backs of your hands, even if your subscapularis muscle is super tight and you don't easily come down with the backs of your hands to the ground, feel free to support underneath there. You can stick a towel or a blanket if your hand doesn't touch the floor. And just take some deep breaths in this relaxed state. If you want, you can butterfly your knees open. You can stretch your legs straight and butterfly or starfish your legs wide. And then lose your cactus and let your arms just spread out to the sides. Legs now spread out to the sides. Relax your body down. Last movement we'll do before Shavasana is take your knees, bend them, take your elbows, bend them, cross one elbow over the other. Hold on to your shoulders for a moment, a nice gentle hug with one hand crossing to the opposite shoulder. You don't have to squeeze, just relax. Let the back of your head soften. Change the cross of your arms to the other side. Let your shoulders melt, let the back of your head melt. Okay, release the arms. Lift your hips, go right with your hips, knees come up, drop left. Let your arm relax on the floor, turn your head. Okay, lift your knees up, scoot the other way, knees over. Breathe. Relax your shoulders. Knees back up. Happy baby pose. Hold your feet. Rock a little bit. Let the back body stretch. You can even lift your chin. You can even go into a rocking plow or plow, whatever, if you feel like the muscles on your back need a little bit more stretch. And then let's find Shavasana when you are ready. Take your time, do what feels right to your body. And when we come down into Shavasana, support yourself any way you need. So your legs can be up on props, your head can be supported. As you find the supine posture, notice what it feels like here to have your shoulders rest on the floor. So come into that state where the arms get heavy, the heads of the arm bones. Imagine two hands gently pressing on the heads of your arm bones, very gently. Some weight, like sandbags, weighting your shoulders into the ground. Let your neck be soft, the base of the skull relaxed. The head is heavy on the ground. Rest it on the ground. Release the need to hold your head up. Let the throat relax, the jaw. Soften your eyes and your tongue. Feel that radial breath again, where the breath is like a sun. Your whole body expanding and condensing on the breath. The belly is soft, and the legs and arms are heavy. Let's begin to deepen our breath again. As you're ready, let's find some movement. Maybe turning your head from side to side, relaxing your neck. Moving into your body a little bit more, maybe stretching arms, maybe rocking knees to chest, whatever's good. Eventually finding your way onto your side and coming up to sit when you're ready. Be comfortable on your seat and have a moment. Just start actually with your arms down. Can you feel that your chest is open without strain? Is your neck able to relax? The base of your skull soft? Place your hands together and offer the gifts of your practice, your presence outward to another. Share your energies, share your care. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Blessings on the day.